Yo, welcome back, guys. Happy Thursday. We're back here again on Wolf Bitcoin, like we do every single day. Just talking to traders, looking at charts, talking about the markets. And I've got another guest with me today. I got Mr. Josh Bratcher with me today from Nobel Trading. So we're gonna be talking crypto. We're gonna be talking Tradfi. We're gonna talk everything that has to do with trading, and we'll get to know Josh a little bit today. So I'm very excited for that, guys. As always, just a reminder, we're gonna give our opinions. We're gonna give some takes up here, but it's just our opinions. It's just our own lived experiences. It's just our stories. We're not up here telling people what to buy, what to sell. As always, investing is risky. Trading is risky. You can lose some of your money. You can lose all of your money. So always go consult with someone who's licensed, certified, and able to give you that kind of advice, because we're not here to do that here. We're just here to share our experiences, to just create some content here for you guys, and just really to just share what we know, what we've lived, what we're learning, what we're doing, and that's about it, man. Just here for a good time. So with that, shout out to Public. Public's been the sponsor of this show here, as well as a lot of the content coming out of the Wolf Bitcoin ecosystem. They're doing some really great stuff. If you haven't checked out Public, you can check them out, public.com/wolf. They are currently offering an uncapped 1% match if you transfer from another brokerage. So if you've got a 401k, IRA, Roth, something like that, and you're looking for something different, you've been thinking about looking for a different option somewhere else to maybe transfer over to. I think that uncapped 1% is pretty attractive. Not to mention, they're really leaning into the AI agentic side of this. So if you go to public.com/wolf, you'll learn a little bit about this. But they do have some agents. They got some AI tools there to help you structure some strategies, to help you really maximize the potential yields you can take from the market, you can get from the market. So go check them out. I mean, as always, you got to do your own research, but they are the sponsor of this show, and we've got a great relationship with them. So check them out at public.com/wolf. With that, Josh, dude, you're muted, by the way. Here, let's unmute you really quickly. There you go.
How you doing, man?
Dude, no, I'm doing well, man. It's like my day is like halfway through, roughly, in terms of spaces and content and all that stuff. But
busy man,
dude, a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's during these markets like this, like when crypto's kind of flat or doing not a whole lot, it's a good time to build. It's a good time to grow. It's a good time to branch out, do other things. So
best time to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Best time to do it. Yeah.
So we've had Josh. I mean, we've had you on spaces before. You've been a contributor to the different Wolf spaces and stuff. So some of the folks watching may recognize you. They may be following you on your channels as well. You do a lot of like actual in the trenches trading content, man. I mean, you go live almost daily. Is that accurate? You're pretty much live every day.
My company has recently kind of exploded. We were doing really well, and we've been building a whole lot of new projects and stuff at Nobel Trading. So there was a lull there where I was just way too busy to really keep up with social media. But I am now back to live streaming every hour of the market open. And as you know, if people know me, they know like every trade I've taken over the last like 18 months is viewable on my website. We try to operate with the most transparency possible. And all the proof is there as well, third-party verified. The whole code and algorithms for everything we do is also, all listed on GitHub. So people can see that the systems are legit on everything we do. We operate with maximum transparency. That's what we try to do. So yeah, man, it's fun stuff.
Yeah. No, dude, you're a busy guy. I see you working. I see you growing. So, and you're, look, I love the people that show up and that are putting it out there, whether you're right or wrong, whether your take sticks or doesn't stick,
right?
Whether the market, something changes and you change your outlook. A Like that's what it is, man. That's what's happening. That's the name of the game. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to bring on more guys like that, and that's why we've got you on here, man.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, when we're talking about this kind of stuff, if you don't got money on the line, then it's not what you really think. If you really think it, you'll put money on the line. So
100%. 100%.
Right? That's the only opinions I want to hear, is those backed by actual funds. Yeah.
Well, and I think that with the rise of like Robinhood and just all these platforms that are making it easier, I think, for people to invest and to take their first trade, this type of content, man, I think it's going to have a resurgence in the coming years. I think really a lot of people are getting interested in finance. I mean, look, you saw the lines outside of the gold and silver shops, right? Where people are standing out there to buy physical precious metals. You're seeing what's happening right now with the stock market just roaring, and people wanting to get exposure to all this. So I just think that, that interest is picking up. Cost of living, like just all of that is putting people in a place where they're really looking at their strategy, their long-term strategy, and they're saying, man, I gotta be putting my money somewhere to grow for me and to work for me. So there's a lot of that, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, the economy's not in a great shape. I mean, we're holding up because, and I think people know that instinctively. They can see, they don't need to have the deep analysis that, like, okay, top 20% is making up over 50% of all the spending. They don't need to be told that. A lot of people feel it, especially like I do a lot of live events, like in the St. Louis area, and just talking to people, like, they already know.
Live in person?
They can't be gaslit. Yeah, we do. We've been doing quite a few live events. I've been doing live trading events and also presentations. So if you're in the St. Louis area, I think our next one is going to be next big one that's open to the public will be in August. So keep following me on the socials. We've written out a country club. So I think we could fit like 150 people, but I think we already got like 100 on the books. So
no, dude, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that type of like in-person education.
It's so great.
Networking. Yeah.
I love it. I love meeting people and talking to them in person. A lot of people are more open about ideas, or that I could show. I'll bring my equipment and stuff and actually pull up my laptop and say, you'll look at this. It's better teaching moments, better connections. Yeah. And it's fun. You can see you can actually see that moment where people are like, oh snap, I get it now. So yeah. I love that stuff, man. And especially with what you mentioned earlier with AI, I think a lot of people, like with Public, like you mentioned, making AI agents. By the way, I also love Public. Hey, Public, talk to me. I love you guys. There
you go.
I've actually been talked to the founders before. They're awesome. They're so cool. But with their AI agents and everyone doing stuff like that, I think a lot of people think, oh, everything's just going to be fully automated. But I think actually that's going to be just get more people in the markets and more interested, especially if these agents are good. Because that's like one of the things we've been doing at NBT is we've also made quite a few agents. Not to turn this into a freaking commercial for myself, but those things are awesome, and that's just going to get more people interested in wanting to learn more in shows like this. And it's
almost like the personal computer moment all over again, right? Where it's like it's getting people plugged into the internet, and like just what that did for people back then, right? Being able to buy a laptop or a desktop in your home, and suddenly you could be online and you could be, number one, consuming that. But when we got to the point where social media started coming around, you could be now sharing, having conversation. I feel like that's where the agents are right now for the finance world. It's in a way, like that's what I think is going to start more conversations, more people doing the research, more people saying, how can I use this tech to help me, get a quick market report in the morning, or quickly scan through the top gainers for the day, or scan the news, or like just all these different ways, right? And it's going to get people interested. I agree, man.
Yeah,
I agree. So Josh, I mean, like give us because we already kind of went down where we were kind of starting a little bit, but give us the rundown. Like who's Josh, dude? How'd you get started? I think you at one point, I think I heard you mention like you already come from a family that's been around the finance world, so you kind of had some influence there. But like, how did you? I don't know. What's your origin story? Like, how'd you get involved in all this? How'd you decide that it was like when did you have that aha moment of like, ooh, I kind of like this stuff. Like this is interesting. I like what it does for me. Like what's that story, man?
Well, the short version is back in college, I was a dual major in biochemistry and biotechnology. Realizing that I didn't probably want to go for my PhD and looking at my options for what I could do. At the time, I was actually working at a Topgolf, and I was making more there than I would starting out in research, and I had benefits. And I was like, well, this sucks. Like, because what I do now is really fun, and what I would do in the lab is boring, and I would make less. So that's when I really started investing heavily into stocks, because I was like, what the heck? I've spent all this time learning this deep technical, skills. How do I apply them in some sort of way to make money? And that's when I started trading like biotech stocks and penny stocks and doing research and FDA stuff, and had some wins, I actually had a pretty good start, honestly. And then I found options, and then I started losing tons of money for several years. Yep. And then I had, and then eventually I did have that click moment, just stayed open-minded, stayed learning. And you kind of have that moment where you're like, the whole year goes by and I'm even. Like I didn't make anything, but I didn't lose anything. But the chart for that year was like this. Yeah. And then I came to flat, and I was like, okay, wait. Let's be honest. In the moment, you're like, I suck at this stuff. What's going on? But in reality, when you kind of get to that moment where you're not losing money, it's like, that's actually the moment where you're like learning to not make the same mistakes over, and you're actually starting to improve. And then from there, that was like 7 years ago. It's just been a little better every year, so, and now where I'm at, it just feels good. Feels really good. Yeah. So
found your stride, huh? You're in your element right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Especially now, it's because it really is like, I would have said a few years ago, like, oh, look, I got this stuff figured out. But even now, I just but I'm still learning stuff. I'm still improving, even now. Even when we use like one of the things that I've done that was big. One of the things we did is we fed all my trade history to an AI agent that we trained. So I fed it all my strategies, and then I fed it my entire trade history, and I told it to identify like what my issues are. And this is actually like one of the things working at MBT is actually like offer this as a product for our members. So where they can feed, if they want to, they can feed their data's brokerage. And then it's so cool because there's things that I think I know about how I trade, and I think I know about my style. And then the AI is like, you got these issues, this is what you're still consistently doing on your losers. It says some nice things too, but but that's just awesome. Using these tools just like gives you deeper insight into yourself, and stuff like that is just like, it's so nice.
Well, that's one of the hardest things, right? Like when you're starting to really get serious about trading is, like you said, I think initially it's just all these ups and downs where you figure one little thing out that gives you edge, but you lack the consistency or you lack the experience to know like when you got to pivot. So you go through kind of like the initial beginner's luck until that runs out. And then you kind of keep trying to push that. You're trying to force it. And then that's where you start walking backwards for a while. And I think we all get to that point where it's like, man, you have to get really good at facing your demons and saying, man, I keep doing this stupid thing over and over, and recognizing it on the spot. Like, this is one thing that still today, like, I'll catch myself where I'm like, I think I'm going to take this trade. And I'm like, no, the last 3 you took like that, you said you weren't going to do it anymore. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, never mind. I'm waiting for the setup. I'm waiting for this, or I'm waiting for that.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to face your demons and really take a hard look at yourself. And so it's interesting that you say that AI, you're kind of finding that it's helping you do that. It's helping you. I mean, it's also probably removing like the filter that we all have. It's that filter that like protects our ego, that, you know, tries to hide the things that we're messing up or failing to see. And AI is maybe highlighting a little bit of that, huh?
Well, if you use it right, you know, I'll tell you what, I would see on the internet, the majority of people are using AI as a confirmation bias. Like, prove why I'm right. Prove why I'm good. Yeah. Man, I'll tell you what, if you use AI to like argue with me, tell me why I suck. Like, if that's the way you use AI for a majority of your interactions, my word, you know, a lot of the naysayers, when I walk them through the way I use it, they're like, oh, this is so helpful. And I'm like, yeah, people, because it's just, the utility is amazing to have someone that's just constantly like, you're probably doing this wrong. You're probably doing this wrong. Check this, you know, because it's like constantly pushing you to improve, you know, and checking your biases. You know, even when I write, you know, I have even when I write up my research and stuff, I'll feed it to AI. I'll feed it to Claude. I'll be like, tell me why this sucks. You know, and just to see if I think it generates a thesis, or if it catches stuff I missed, you know.
Sure.
You know, that's the way to use it. That's really how you level up with the AI. And so, using it to point out those flaws, or even we have a real-time agent that's we call it Overload. We'll probably change the name of it, but it actually will real-time react to my trades, and it'll be like, oh, you entered too early again. I'll exit, and it'll send me a note saying like, hey, probably should have held that. According to your trading history and according to this setup, you're not following your rules. You're supposed to hold that a little bit longer. Or you're like, you know, like, and so, you know, stuff like that that's
pretty sharp though.
It's really cool. It's really cool stuff. Yeah. So, awesome. It just shows you, like, you know, it's crazy because people think you got to be perfect to make money, but all the time I'll be like, oh, mess that up. I made money off of it though, you know, or my win rate dropped 10%, but we're still making money, you know? So you just learn. It's also a big thing that I wanted to mention when you're talking about new traders is there's a difference between, I think one of the things I was good at early was just with the researcher background was always being aware of the moment I'm living in, probably, and what the conditions of the market, and doing that historical analysis. I was always very good at that.
Got it.
Of recognize, you know, like in 2020, I could recognize like this isn't normal. You know, I think a lot of people didn't. They need to have the lived experience to recognize that. Whereas, just from that research background, I'm always thinking, you know, about the big picture and doing the historical back testing of seeing what events have likely occurred before. But even with that, it's not the same as having the experience of actively executing in different market conditions, right?
Yep.
And so nothing really beats actually being here, pressing the buy button or the sell button in the real conditions. And, you know, I've been doing this for 13 years now, 7 years full time. And it's nothing really beats that. You know, like, you know, you can read all the books, you can do all the research. As someone who has read a lot of books and done a lot of research, I will say the number one thing that I can say gives me the confidence and the trades I execute and sizing up when I should, and is just knowing that, like, oh, I've been doing this for 7 years now. Even if I have a bad moment, even if I go on a losing streak, even if, oh, this trade's not working out, like, okay, I've seen this scenario before. I've seen this, you know, trend before now. Not just a few times, but dozens of times at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I guess it's like you can sit around and you can read about working out and you can read about the proper form, and you
Mhm.
can read about all the things but until you actually, you go to the squat rack, and until you get under the bar and you feel the weight, and you feel you're suddenly very hyper aware of like your feet, and like until you do it, you
Until you get
really
that
don't.
muscle memory where you don't
Yeah,
even think about it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
just do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a big thing. Because
Tell me your lifting story though. Did you used to compete or something?
yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was so I actually was almost an Olympic lifter for a little
Ah, cool, man.
bit. But I ended up switching my major to the sciences.
Mm,
And then I transitioned to doing strongman. So I've done powerlifting, I've done strongman.
yeah.
Never competed as the Olympic lifter, but that's probably my favorite to be the sad part. I
Hmm.
love Olympic lifting, clean and jerks, snatches, but I ended up competing as a strongman. I've been to the Arnold and some pretty big competitions. I've,
Wow.
second strongest in the Midwest. I have a few records. I was pretty
Yeah.
good, I'm
Yeah.
actually still
Yeah.
pretty strong as, despite getting, just being a fat dad at this point.
That's funny, man. Are there any similarities that you could draw right away between the lifting world and the trading world? Like things that are just like you wouldn't think about it, but you're like, well, actually, that's kind of like a similar thing here.
I mean, there's so many. Um,
We can
it
come
really,
back to it if you can't think of
no,
any.
no, I can. I just think that like to really draw the closer illusion, you kind of got to think about it in the competitive sense where like I would record myself and
Mm,
not so I could for social media as much as like I got to review that form. Do I have the proper
mm,
form? And then I got to share it with the coach and keeping the diet consistent. There is the reality of trading is I could teach you a strategy that makes you money. I could teach
right,
you 5, 6,
right.
and I could probably teach you 7 strategies that will make you money. And you could back test them and prove that they work on the market, right? Learning a strategy isn't actually the hard part.
Yeah.
The hard part is showing up every day and executing that to the plan, to the T, regardless of how you feel, how your emotions are, what's going on, what's distracting you from the market, where's life at,
Mm,
when I first went full time, there's this stress of like, oh shit, I had a bad month.
yeah.
And all I'm doing is pulling money out of my account to pay bills, and I'm losing money every day.
Yeah.
And that causes a horrific spiral.
Yep.
But you still got to
Yep.
show up and you got to perform. So the same thing with working out is
Yeah.
the consistency of showing up every day with the same mental, the same attitude, and then execute the plan.
Yeah.
And the other discipline is knowing when to do nothing. Knowing when doing nothing is following the plan. If there's no
Mm,
setup, if you're injured or if you're not doing well, then you don't work out. Then you don't
yeah.
train. Then you take a break and you wait for that recovery. And I think that's where I walked into the worst situations, and then the darkest moments is
Yeah.
just being like, I'm a hard worker,
Yeah.
and I think that's where those people, they run into the most trouble because they're like, well, I gotta show up I gotta trade more. I'm not making money. It must mean I gotta
Yeah.
do more. I gotta trade 4-6 hours a day instead of 2 hours a day. It's like, whoa. What you might actually need to do is less and reset your brain a little bit, come back to it and just do because it's a hyper performance sport. I think
Yeah.
of trading like working out. I'm here all day because I run a company and I give alerts on the market and stuff. But I walk away from the charts and I make sure to reset my brain. Just like I have a limited amount of effort, a limited amount of load I can put on my muscles when I'm working out. There's a limited amount of like mental capacity I can put towards hyper focusing on charts and watching the movement of money before I get tired and I'm not operating at that high efficiency to make those quick decisions, especially when you're executing. Like if you're swing trading, it's a little bit different, but if you're executing like trading futures or you're trading short-term time frames, there's only so much time in one session that you can operate at an optimal efficiency, right? You're going to get tired. You're going to go out. You're going to you have limited mental capital you can deploy at any given session. So it's the same thing with a workout. Yeah.
This is probably where AI is also pretty helpful, right? Like I'm thinking of, because you're saying like sometimes you're just maxed out, right? Like you're done for the day. This is probably where AI can pick up on some of that as well. It's like, there's a trend that after you take a certain amount of trades, your performance starts to go down, or there's a history that you suck at trading Mondays. Don't trade Mondays. It's like just, what I mean?
Yeah. Or just the close. You suck at the close, but you're decent at the open.
Yeah.
So when you're up call it a day, ignore the close. Stuff like that too. Yeah, not even just certain times of the day or certain stocks you suck at. That was one of the things with our AI. It's like you only had one good year of trading Apple, so it's like there was one year where I was like had a crazy high win rate with Apple, but every other year besides that one, I have a losing win rate with Apple in particular. And I was like, oh, all right. So maybe I don't trade Apple for some reason. I suck at that one. I still trade Apple, but it was good to know.
Yeah. How do you like also like how would you describe your split between scalping, day trading versus like swings, or even like the longer investment type stuff, like where you maybe are taking a trade, you're taking a position for the month, maybe for the quarter, right? Like how does that look like for you?
Let me just say from like an entrepreneur stance, I really should have like a better hyper focus. And I do see myself as an options guy, but when it comes to how I manage my money, like if we're going to talk about like how does Josh manage his finances, I have probably a 50% just in a long-term account. It's probably maybe around there. And I just hold stocks. And so usually I try to hold them for a year to not, have capital gains, to tax advantage. And I might make moves like once or twice a quarter, maybe, probably like make 15, 16 changes for the year.
Okay.
And then I have my actual options trading where there's wide variance in what I'm doing there. So
you're doing short term, you're doing long term, you're doing all that.
Yeah. But for options, I'm, trading SPX 0 days. I'm swinging positions for 120 days. I'm just doing weekly call options. It kind of just depends on what's in front of me. I'll even do stuff like I'll sell calls. I'll trade spreads. Do butterflies. Not very often. Usually I keep things very simple, but there's a wide variance in what I'm doing. I don't really have like I only swing trader. I only day trade. I just think there's certain, I apply what I think is best in whatever situation has been presented.
That makes sense.
In front of me.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I do trade futures too. Yeah, so futures, a little bit, some crypto too, of course. Yeah. Obviously,
some Bitcoin trades, maybe Bitcoin.
I played with some futures there in Coinbase or perpetuals.
Got it.
And not lately because it's been boring, but I have. Yeah. Stocks are where the fun's at right now. Sorry, crypto guys.
Yes, it is.
So.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, if you want to, it's up to you. But if you wanna pull up your a chart or something, if you want to give me like a Bitcoin take, man. Like what's your current take on Bitcoin? Like, what do you think we're we're heading lower towards the end of the year? Do you think there's a lot of bulls that are saying the lows are in and it's up only from here? Like, I'm just curious, like what's your read on it? How are you kind of looking at it, both from a short term and from a longer, mid to long term perspective? Here, let me throw this up here. Why are you not on here? Hold on here, Josh. Let's get you. Why are you not on there? There we go. Fixed it.
All right. Well, yeah. So Bitcoin's an interesting spot here, man. You know, we have this longer term trend line that we've broken. And I've literally been staring at like this structure for since up here. But I didn't like the way we like failed to break out to a new high. As soon as we got the denial, I started to get a little bit nervous. And pretty much since then, it's been basically set parallel channels like this one right here, and then break them. I mean, it's just repeated. It doesn't really matter what we look at. I think, well, we'll go to Ethereum in a moment, but let's focus on this real quick. So that said, if I just remove these real quick, just so we can clean this up. If we actually look at this pattern right here for Bitcoin, there is the obvious bear flag, right? Where we had this large pull down and now we have this trend up. I mean, this structure right here is identical to this structure, right? So there's probably a lot of people betting on further downside. Now, one of the things that I think is interesting right now, though, that kind of has my eye. Was it going to bring back my drawings? There we go. Holy cow!
Here, let me try and full screen this. There we go. That's a little bit better. Give us a little more real estate here.
Okay,
go for it. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. One of the things I'm watching though is this key level kind of has my interest. The way we reclaimed it and the reaction that we got here. So this is actually a further retest than this level was. And one of the things I like about this level is I'm actually getting finally a positive number on my TTM. So I think one of the things that's special, I don't think special is the right word, but one of the things that I don't see a lot of people utilize is TTM squeeze. It's one of my favorite indicators.
Tell me about it. Like what is it like? If you're giving me explain it to me like I'm 5. Like what is it? What's it measuring or what's it displaying? Yeah.
So if we were gonna break it down on the math, I can actually generate this oscillator through multiple methods. I could do it through EMA convergences. I can do it through like Bollinger Bands. Which is kind of like a relative strength indicator, right?
Sure.
And so TTM kind of combined those into a basic like momentum indicator. Like where is the momentum for the underline, right? The textbook definition is it's a mixture of Keltner channels and Bollinger Bands, but
it measures momentum.
I like it. It measures momentum, right? Okay. The classical thing that people teach, like if you go watch YouTube shorts, they'll tell you that you want to see these dots right here turn red, and that tells you when there's a potential squeeze or there could be an explosion in price. I don't care about that at all. And when it does that, I don't even take note of it. What I care when I look at TTM is I want to see confluence over multiple time frames. So like right now, I don't have that. So right now, my 2-day is actually firing to the downside. My daily is as negative as well.
Yep.
Is this negative number over there. But my weekly is positive. So it hasn't been positive or flip positive since the 19th. So it's telling me that there's a sign that this recent low here is a major bottom. And what we've seen for these names in general is like, yeah, we got this trend line right here. So I kind of I'm looking to see if we can actually just either bounce off of this and actually carry through to the upside, turn this into a full what I like to do is Elliott wave analysis. So I would actually want to see this turn into a third wave higher and then see some sort of pattern like this to the new highs or to a new high. So it's at a pivotal moment for me where my momentum indicator on the weekly is actually telling me that this might be a bear trap for those hoping that this is another bear flag. And so even though this is flipping negative here on the 2-day and my 1-day is bearish, I'm looking for this to actually show signs of a turn. So I wouldn't take a short here, even if it broke this low. I'd kind of need it to set a new low. Given that the fact that I have no confirmation in my weekly yet at all. Yeah. So, and if we look at Bitcoin historically, it's like only once has there really been what we would call like a fake out on the weekly, where we tried a breakout and it failed.
That was what, 2019? Is that what,
yeah,
did I see
yeah.
that accurate?
Well, 2020, early
2020.
2020. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Hmm.
So
So that was right before the COVID crash then, right? Is it around that time?
Right. Yeah. COVID crash March. Yeah.
Okay.
So that threw off that technical analysis, which black swans can, which is why risk management is always key, even when you think you have edge on the market. But that's what I'm liking about this right here, honestly. And I was telling members actually, when it turned at 82, I was looking actually for it to give a solid touch here at the. If I remove this, I was actually looking for a solid touch into this bearish resistance here. This is Ripster EMAs. But it only came to 82, which I don't like. It kind of shows me that this is still pretty weak. But I would like to see, based on what I'm seeing here, I would kind of expect this to really finish this accumulation phase kind of mid-June at the latest, and start to give us a real move to the upside, and then potential crypto summer. That's what I'm actually looking at here. I'm actually
that would be interesting.
I'm feeling pretty optimistic. Part of the reason why I'm feeling optimistic is because I don't see this rally from the market really ending. Like we could even have a real sharp pullback here on stocks, and I don't really see that being an issue. Like I think we're likely at a bubble, but I don't think we're nearing the end. Like, Michael Burry says crash is imminent. I think he said that 3 months ago. So he's not having fun. But I don't see that at all. I haven't seen that. I do think it is coming, but I do think that Bitcoin's being a little unfairly treated here. Long term, now let's expand out the time horizon real quick. And I don't really have anything to show on the chart for this, but I will say that it's my thesis that Bitcoin's a crisis asset. It was invented in '08 as a way to get away from the dollar system. So
it's supposed to be, right? I guess we're testing that thesis out. Yeah.
Right. So if you're wanting Bitcoin at $1 million, I think unfortunately what you need is for it to first, for everything first to have another global financial crisis. And from that, people will run to Bitcoin to safety. So there'll probably be a violent crash in the stocks. Maybe it actually starts as a bond crisis. Bonds were in a really dicey spot, a few weeks ago. No one was really talking about it. Scott Bassett even took an emergency flight to Japan. No major headlines, but there was almost a bond crisis. And, maybe that comes to fruition later. We keep delaying that one, but maybe that comes up later.
Right.
And when that crisis happens, that's when I think crypto really takes off. That's the bull case. The bull case is US ain't doing so hot. The world isn't doing so hot. So, that's why you get a new currency to rise to popularity. But that said,
I think there's a lot of alignment with what you're saying also, and what other analysts and traders are saying on CT. And I do think that right now we are kind of at a pivotal area for BTC where there is an opportunity, I think, for buyers to step in here. Whether that happens, I don't know, but I can definitely see that, man. I've tried to be a lot more open and less like taking of a hard stance, like as like absolutely the lows are in or absolutely we're going lower. I'm really just trying to just consider all sides right now and just say, okay, what's the potential here? But I can definitely see it here. I'm gonna throw up a chart real quick.
Well, you view that because you're a trader, and that's what we do.
I've had to learn that though, right? Like, I mean, that's part of it is we gotta work
we
on
bet
that.
on probabilities, and so we wait till the probabilities we feel like are in our favor, and then we let it play out. Sometimes it's wrong, and that becomes a data point that's 100%. Used for future decision making. Yeah. Let's see what you got.
Check this out. So because we were talking about this on a couple spaces recently, but this is Bitcoin against the equity markets, right? I've got just SPX plus NDX on here.
Okay.
And I mean, you can just see like it's just melting, but we're getting really close to these 2024 lows.
Yeah.
And
you know what that looks like, by the way? That looks like
what's that?
It looks like an inverted, kind of looks like a head and shoulders, but it looks more like an inverted cup and handle, dude. It looks awful.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, here, like that just, I mean, this does not look good. This does not look good.
Yeah, inverting it, and all the bulls are super happy about it. They're like, oh, I gotta buy that, except it's the inverted chart.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, it's still melting. There's still clear momentum to the downside, but you are coming up to some key lows, and
right.
You know, I don't know. Like, do you get, because a lot of times when we do see these, like, you know, whether you want to call them like a wedge or a flag, or you want to call this like that kind of like that H that tends to happen a lot of times. At some point, you know, it will overextend and you will get a bit of a bounce, and then you'll kind of see of like, okay, can it now try and break out of like something like that, you know? But dude, I mean, we're coming up to an area where it's hard for me to be mega bearish on crypto against equities because it is coming up to these areas. But I also do, like, you know, we do have to consider that this could just cascade through here and head a little bit lower. Like there, you know, there's some room to the downside, but does not look good. And then the other one that's similar to this is I've got BTC over GSG. So this is like that iShares commodity index trust, right? So it's got precious metals, it's got agriculture, I think it's got oil in it and stuff like that. So I just kind of use this one as a way to measure like BTC against real world value, right? It's like how much hay or wheat could I buy, right? Like with my Bitcoin, or how much precious metals can I buy? And even this one, same thing. Like this one looks less bearish. I mean, it looks a little bit better. Maybe there's another
better, because I mean, overall trend. I mean, overall trend. Like, what do we
agreed?
See? Yeah, we see higher lows and higher high. Yep. And this looks like I'm curious what like a Fibonacci retracement would look there, but it looks like it'd be something like a clean 618 retracement for that low.
Yeah,
so
it probably is.
Yeah. I like the way, I like actually how that chart looks. Looks like, because if you're doing Elliott, you know, these big retracements of major trends, if we were to consider the trend to be from the bottom at 2023 to the high, that large retracement that's happened since then is coming in as a three-wave pattern. And those three-wave patterns, typically, I'd say that's recent bottom is in. And I would even be willing, you know, if this was a stock
pushing
chart,
up a little bit,
I would be willing to buy it right here and then stop it out if it actually get to a new low. Yeah. So like that's the way I would handle that. That's a very clean three-wave pattern retracement. And until I'm proven wrong, as long as I would use some external indicators like momentum indicators to try and prove that thesis. But I like the way that chart looks, quite honestly.
This one doesn't look bad also, you know, because when you consider Bitcoin against gold, even this one's getting a bit of a bounce. I'm a little concerned about these lows and like the longer term. Like, sure, you know, it could probably take a little while to get down here. Maybe it's next year, but yeah, Bitcoin gold was one of those charts that I was really talking a lot about this last cycle. You know, just I didn't like the way you kind of got equal highs here. Like you just couldn't really get a lot of upside compared to 2021. But Bitcoin against silver, watch this is one that actually I pulled it up the other day and I was actually impressed by it. I was like, ooh, Bitcoin against silver, what the heck? Like this is catching a good little bounce at a key kind of horizontal here. Like you've got some reasons to be watching this. So I think, you know, Bitcoin against silver could be a contributing factor to why this is kind of getting a bounce here. I haven't looked at Bitcoin against oil, but it looks better against commodities than it does against equities, I guess is the message I'm trying to say. So to me, I agree. I think stocks continue to run based on this. They continue to run hotter than crypto, right? So that's
would be my takeaway. That doesn't really tell me that Bitcoin's going to necessarily do poorly, but it kind of does hint that Bitcoin's going to be underperform stocks.
Correct.
Would be my takeaway. Yeah, I don't track a lot of stuff like this, but I like it a lot. Thanks for sharing it with me.
Yeah, no, look, I try and give myself like a little bit of perspective with these, just so I understand, like, do I need to be spending more time in the stock world and looking at stuff like this, or do I need to be spending more time like looking at ETH and looking at, you know, some of this other stuff? So it kind of helps me.
Right.
I really use it just to give me perspective.
Right. Well, do you want to paint the, you know, if you're looking for defined convictions, painting the narrative and doing forming your perspective from a top-down view. Yeah, that's the way to get convictions. So when you hit the buy button, you know, you hold for the full idea.
100%, dude.
Yeah,
100%, man. So yeah, and there's been there's so many plays right now, even in the crypto. There's been some big movers, but have been really just paying attention to a lot of stuff here that you know, some of this stuff's just been moving. Like this one's done pretty well.
This is a stock or is this crypto? What are we looking at?
No, this is a stock.
No, Rivian's a stock, but I don't know this.
Yeah, SWKS, man. It's
okay.
It's like a semi. I guess you could classify it as semi because they do RF stuff, so radio communication, radio frequency stuff for chips, I think. Yeah. So this is a big runner, dude. We caught it after the kind of initial little rounding off here, and this thing's been a flyer.
Well done.
Caught that one around the same time that kind of Synaptics was running. So, dude, there's some big movers, man.
Pull up Ford real quick. Pull up Ford real quick. So I just took F. Yeah. Well, F. Same thing. Actually, not same.
No. Are you talking about Ford Motor Company or which one? Oh, hold on. What was that one? There we go. Yep.
I can't really see what the price says, but I thought that last one said 14. That's why I said adjust.
This one's 1665. Yeah, right now. Yeah.
If you go to daily here, there's that beautiful cup and handle structure right there.
Yeah.
And then if we go to the weekly here,
like here, I'll pass it off to you. Pull it up. Here,
okay. Okay. All right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to go over, like, it's kind of crazy to me that these names, like, so if you go to my timeline, I was hammering this one on this pullback because it was such a beautiful, like, bull flag structure on lower time frames. But even here, where I did take some profit, this ended up being a 500% play. But I'm looking to see if we get a dip back to like 1548 or something. I'll probably load the boat on this again because this structure is just beautiful. And it's another.
What's your process though for like how does Ford end up on your screen? I guess is the question.
Ford actually,
it's not something that I would have been thinking of. Like, I need to go check the Ford chart. You know what I mean? It's just with all the other exciting stuff. I'm just like, I don't know, man.
Well, Ford actually had that announcement where they're going to start selling EV batteries. And I was like, and different, basically they're going to start being a provider to the AI space for data centers and stuff and making tech for them. And I'm like, holy cow, this could be a huge revenue source for Ford. It could take them, you know, who knows, maybe it's enough to offset the cyclical nature of the automotive industry where, you know, there's brutal downturns and recessions for automotive. This could change behavior of the stock. It could be freaking massive. You know, for them to start doing this to enter into this new space and as a provider. So that's what really put this on my radar. But then you get the headline and you get the pop right to this big key breakout level. Was forming this cup here, and I mean honestly, there's a cup and handle here, like from mid 2024, and then you got another one here that's actually giving all like the momentum confirmation. So like you get this big drawdown, but you never get a flip on the daily. Like the daily was strong the whole time, and if we, you know, even if you do something simple, I love simple stuff. You know, it's a real nice, clean, just like Fibonacci retracement where it defends the 618. You know, you love to see stuff like that. And I'm like, perfect. So like plays like this, but even right now, like I like stuff kind of on the peripherals. I feel like the next phase of AI is probably like in optimization. I mean, obviously the data centers are still running. Like if we look at, I mean, obviously the big news today was snow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this chart's wild. You know, you probably, you know, if people weren't following this, they probably didn't even see that it's actually trading up here. They were looking down here like, why does this matter? You know, But if we look here at that earnings move, Snow basically came out and told everyone like we're making a ton of money with AI, and it's helping with productivity. And so that's why we saw stocks like Microsoft catch solid bids today, which I love the look of Microsoft here. It's trying hard to break out of this bull flag and kind of hold this accumulation, but it's another one of those things where like, okay, my momentum is flipping on the daily. I'm getting the positive signal there. And look, I'm about to get confirmation on my weekly S2. My weekly is a -3, which means literally tomorrow I might actually get the buy signal from that chart as well.
Microsoft's been looking pretty good. I think I had marked up I was looking for a move up to 490, which seems like that might be coming.
Yep. That looks great. Yeah. And so this, in the software moves that we got today, give confirmation to that. But the other side of that is like, I'm looking to hear from, Costco and Walmart that, they're going to be saving money on like middle management, job cut, that
hadn't thought about it from that angle. Shoot.
Their efficiency is going to go up. The way they run their warehouses even is going to, that's been part of the Walmart rally. Everyone talks about this Walmart run up. Everyone was talking about their kind of entrance into healthcare and how that's huge. But very few people were talking about the SYM symbiotic deal that they had around that same time. And this is robotics for their warehouses. That's saving them a ton of money. So and will in the long term, right? So, there's an upfront fee, but then you save money for years. And then you got stocks like Kohl's, where I actually had a lot of position into Kohl's for the same idea of like, wow, my 2-day is about to flip green and my weekly is showing major improvements with this looking like it's about to break a major trend line. All right, I'm going to take some lottos into earnings just because people are very bearish because things are bad. But consumer spending keeps surprising everyone because the upper 20% keeps spending so much money.
Yeah.
So it's catching a lot of people off guard, and I'm also looking for companies like this to really use AI to the max because they need to, because they're desperate to improve margins. And AI is how you improve margins. It might not make you a ton of money, but you don't need a ton of money to make a ton of money with AI. You could save a ton of money is making a ton of money. And that's what a lot of people don't like.
I mean, it kind of sounds like you're saying that we're going to see a bit of like, almost like a rotation back into lean, right? Driven by AI. Yeah.
Freaking Meta yesterday. I didn't trade it yesterday because I don't. Moves like this when they come late in the day are tough for me because I feel like I've just got too much FOMO if I try it. There's 100% some traders who killed this and made a ton of money. But for me, I was watching to see if there's a day take continuation. I
actually think that's a huge point that we need to drill on quite more, like when we're doing our streams or spaces, or when you're teaching in like your community, for example. Is I think there's this fallacy or this belief that unfortunately a lot of people have in trading and in the markets, is that you have to be making money just because other people are making money, right? But but it's not true. I mean, there's some setups I like what you just said. There's setups I just won't take. And even when I'm doing streams like this, sometimes I'll take chart requests and people will be like, oh, look at this, look at that. And I'll pull it up. And a lot of times my commentary is simply, I just don't know how I would trade that. And that's just me. It doesn't mean someone else doesn't know how. It doesn't mean someone else isn't printing money right now on that move. It just means I don't see how I would have played that or how I would currently play that. And that's okay. That's okay. It just means I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for a different chart, or I'm looking for a different setup at some other point. And that's fine.
Well, that really plays into I don't try to be a hater, but I am a hater about pessimistic, like overly being pessimistic, and by people who like live in scarcity mindsets. Drives me nuts. I
Yep.
can't handle it when
Yep.
someone is like has this mentality of like, oh, I missed that. Oh, what am I gonna do? Oh, I missed the oh man, I can't. And then they like hammer themselves in their head for the whole day because they missed one trade. It's like, dude, there's like 7,000 stocks.
There's more tickers than you could possibly even.
Yeah, there's like as an options trader, I'm like I got 7,000 stocks with option chains that I can trade on any given day. There's more opportunities. You know, I missed a trade. Who cares? like there'd be a and I understand. People want to get out there. They want to feel like they hit it every day, but all you're doing is just you're putting yourself in a bad mental state. Yeah, and you got to be. So it's like a top. You're an athlete. You're a mental athlete, and you want to be in a winning mindset at all times. So stop torturing yourself with stuff like that. Play your game to your strengths. Know your role, and the market where you actually have a deeper understanding on a certain setup than other people, and act on that. And other stuff. 100%. Who cares what other stuff? Who cares what other people are doing?
People do put a lot of pressure on themselves though, man. And it's unrealistic, unrealistic expectations. It's you just have to look at the real world to realize that it's not it doesn't work, right? It's like
I was coaching.
Imagine if you said, I'm unwilling to play, basketball unless I know I'm gonna hit every single shot, and I'm not, I'm always gonna have the ball, and I'm always like, you're never gonna play. You're just never gonna play. Like it's not gonna happen.
Right. I was talking earlier this week with a guy, and he was still learning how to trade, and this was at a it wasn't really a live event, but I had gone to a broker dealer office, and the guy was showing me the trading he was doing in his personal account, and he was also like an analyst, did research for the company. And he was showing me, he's like, I'm struggling. I've lost all this money and I just feel depressed about it. And I got to make this money back. And I'm like, dude, like this stuff is trading is already hard enough.
Yeah.
Why are you putting all this extra pressure on yourself that you got to make it all back next month? And you got to do this by this time frame. And oh my gosh, you're freaking out over these other external situations, putting all that pressure on yourself when it's already hard enough. It's already hard enough to just say, let's just see what I can do today. Let's see what comes up today. Let's see if I have an opportunity, if I can make a few bucks, call that good. You're not going to change the world tomorrow, or today or in the next hour. We want to make small improvements each day, and that will compound over time. But I get it, because you execute on such a short time frame that you start thinking in very short time frames, when this could be a career if your main goal is longevity, and if you're just trying to do what a good trader would do every single day, and sometimes that means you lose a little bit of money and you stop.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you make money every day. Sometimes you take a few L's, you're like, well, that sucked. And you can have those emotions. And it doesn't mean you don't sit there and go, well, shit.
100%.
But it means that you stop, you reset, you come back tomorrow. Yeah. If you want to go over a few more stocks, we could do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I actually, what I really like right now that's kind of setting up nicely is I've been kind of watching ARKG. If I could type, we could look at it. But I think what's also sneaking up on the markets here is this is kind of setting up for a nice breakout on biotech.
Pretty nice,
doesn't it? Yeah. And so I actually just set this position up yesterday for Twist, and I'm kind of looking for a much. Don't ignore this. That was part of a talk I did. That was not set for exact levels, but I am looking though for a 5-wave pattern to kind of set up here. And probably looking for a potential visit back to like these 2021 levels for Twist.
Wow.
And this one completely blindsided me. This used to be a company back in the day. I kind of told you everything about them. And then they even fell off my radar. And that's the stuff I like about big multi-year breakouts like this, is people forgot about it. Now it's breaking out. People FOMO back in. much like I did. But since I'm here every day, I catch stuff like that a little earlier than everyone else. But I love a lot of these. We can also see like CRISPR, another biotech name I like. If we come here to the daily, first of all, I love that I'm getting that flip on my weekly. And this, you know, I like stuff like this because it's very easy. You can obviously run an equation and do a back test on a bunch of stocks and stuff, but I can just scroll on any stock and I can see when I get that TTM movement, I get good outcomes, you know. But if we go to the daily here, we've got a nice trend breakout here with solid momentum. And the big thing with the TTM here is like I'm flipping positive on my weekly. At the same exact time, I'm getting the same signal about something on my daily.
On the daily.
That's when you get the best moves. So like a little bit of sauce for everyone, a little bit of sauce for everyone. As you look at a swing trade, you want the weekly and the daily to align. That's the key. You want them to align. You want them both at the same forms. If you're day trading, you want the 15-minute to have alignment with the 65-minute. So the 65-minute turned green, that bright green. It started positive momentum in tandem with the 15-minute. So if you can get these actually to flip from a negative number to a positive number at the same time, that's when you're going to get those really solid moves on the market. A little bit of sauce for everyone. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite like momentum signals that basically tells me like, oh, we're probably gonna this can really get some trends. So you know, I'll see that signal, and then I'll say, okay, what do my ATRs look like? You know, so what's the average moves that this tends to make? And so like we could see that we've actually blown through the average true range on CRISPR, which kind of tells me like, okay, this needs to be on my radar tomorrow too. Yeah. Because, you know, if you're trading, the simplest rule of trading is trade what's actually moving, right? You know, so, and that's what's moving. It's breaking out of what its average, you know, movement in a day is. It's breaking major trend lines. I've got good relative volume finally coming in for this name. So yeah, that's a few ones that I have really been watching. You know, IBM I also think is really interesting here. Got a nice cup and handle to it. I already caught it. I actually caught it like a nice 100% on this, but that was like a small starter position. I think the bigger move actually happens over 270 here. And then we see a nice continuation. For those unaware, Trump admin did put $1 billion in IBM. And if you guys have been paying attention, that's what they did with Intel. Intel, right? So, you know, the grift works. If you, you know, it's very, very, very effective. So, and that's the thing too with, you know, actually, I think it's really important I say this. I want everyone to know that I look at this, where this market is, and I'm like, okay, well, if this is truly like the only pullback we're gonna get, there's potential we run all the way to 800 from here.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, I'm long. If you look at my trading account, I've got lots of call positions. I am long stocks. I am long with some very small hedges. Yeah. But I'm scared as hell.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's reasonable. I think it's reasonable to have a little bit of
yeah. So and you know what's keeping me in these is these setups, like the setups we're going over here. This setup on Microsoft, like I've made some money on it today, but the real move happens over 434. You know, that's the real breakout. You know, it's like a nice like inverted shoulders. Yeah, you can create an argument that, you know, you got a bull flag here, but the bigger patterns like an inverted shoulder, whatever, you know, you want to say that looks bullish, you know, you know, and if you get the confirmation, that's when you can load up. And the confirmation will be actually breaking out to a new high. And then look at this awesome gap you got to fill. I think Meta had a similar gap. And I didn't even really like this one. I was actually really staring at this for, you know, when we first got this breakdown, and we got this bounce over 600. I was staring at this thing, waiting for a breakdown, and just waiting and waiting. And I caught like a little scalp and made a few bucks, and then gave it back when it did break 600, but then defended. That's what this old alert is for me thinking like, oh, come on, break it. but now these things are going up. The shorting stuff is not working. And now this is a beautiful long play. We're breaking a trend line. We've got a huge gap to fill above it to 655. And so, yeah, I see this. And, even for me, someone who likes to ride and hold trends. Yeah, that's spooky. Yeah, I see the bond market, bond market. If we have broken this 82, holy cow, if we go to the monthly here, I know this is long-term bonds. If we go to the long term here, like that's not a level we hit very often. And every time we've gotten below 82, equities have sold off pretty dramatically. But they came and they defended it last week. They bought it right up, and that's when Bassett had that emergency flight to Japan, by the way, as well. So, and I know we could look at like 10-year rates, and we can be sorry, I did not want to interval. I wanted we could look at 10-year rates. I'm just bringing this stuff up because this is common conversations that I have with people. Thank you. If we look at 10-year rates here and we draw like a simple trend line, back 40 years, man, what a breakout. If this was a stock, this kind of looks like this is like Intel. It's like who's like re-achieved finally their .com bubble levels, except this is actually goes all the way back to 1981. Like interest rates look like they're going higher, let me actually even just get rid of that drawing for a little bit. But that's a pretty major breakout. So the question right here that I'm asking is like, okay, is this just a back test of this larger move, or is it really headed into a regime of higher interest rates? This is a big conversation. I constantly have people asking me about this, especially if they have a background in finance and they're a little bit deeper in the space.
Yep.
And it's spooking everyone. What are we going to do? What does that mean for crypto? What does that mean for everything? And I honestly,
we saw Australia, right? They raised rates already.
Right.
So,
yeah, everywhere. So is the world entering a new regime? The global world order that has basically existed from World War II is gone, and it's not coming back. And so we live in a new paradigm that we're uncovering every month at this point. Further details on what the new paradigm will look like, right? But I will say that I'll tell you what, if interest rates go up another 2% per year, are people going to stop making cool crypto projects? Are they going to stop using AI? Are they going to stop building data centers? No.
Right.
The consumer might get hurt.
Yeah.
The consumer could stop spending. Maybe the housing market crashes, but I'll tell you what, this tech's going nowhere. Yeah. Crypto's going nowhere. So there is a version of this, which, by the way, my technical analysis right now on this is that we'll get our big decision factor if we at this 5.07%. It's kind of like I want to see if this double top turns into a huge rejection point, or if we just simply break out. And I think that is going to tell me if like this is a new paradigm or this is just a blip. Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion, but if I were to guess, take an educated guess, I actually disagree with rates will stay up long term because I just don't think the economy can handle it. I think maybe in the future maybe 5 years from now they can, with AI and robotics and everything. Maybe we find a foundation. But there's just too many people who are just hurting way too bad, and eventually we will feel that pain across the board, especially if equities take a dump at some point, which they will. Yeah. We're going to overbuild memory chips and GPUs, and all this stuff will eventually take a dip, the dump.
I mean, you kind of already saw that even with This was probably a month ago or maybe over a month ago where um everyone was talking about just the fact that there was kind of like an overcommitment already, or there was what's a better way to put it, the market got too bullish on like statements of interest towards like the data centers, right? Like everyone was like, oh yeah, OpenAI, all these
Oh,
companies there, you remember that, right? And it
right.
was like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was Oracle's thing.
yeah,
Oracle sold off because people were like, this is way too much, way too fast. That's the
yeah,
whole reason Meta was dumping, and Meta, keep in mind, is exhibit A for what could eventually cause a crash because they're hiding debt off the balance sheet. They're getting real creative,
mm,
and I mean, that's across the board. Everyone's cash balances are non-existent. Microsoft and Google and Apple, everyone was sitting on tons and tons and tons of cash. Well, now they're blowing all of it, and they're actually getting loans. And Meta and Oracle really, really far out on the tail end of that curve, like all in on AI. But Meta seeing some of the rewards of that. You're cutting 8,000 of their staff. That's why the stock rallied today, because the market was like, oh snap, maybe they're making the right bet. So
there is a pendulum swing component to this, right? Like they will cut too aggressively at some point, and then you'll realize that,
right, absolutely,
and then it has to swing the other way, and
right. So it's all about finding. It's all the market's just trying to find alignment with like, were we too optimistic? Are we now too pessimistic? And we'll probably go through this wave.
Yep.
And then when the hardware hits when you get to the point where your hardware inventories are insanely high, but people are like, oh, we don't really need more. Like there's going to be a point of efficiency where we could build larger data centers, but it doesn't really help as much in the compute side, or it becomes cost ineffective, and we're not there yet. So we don't know when we hit that where companies are like, this is the ideal amount to spend to get this much compute. Right now, everyone's just like, give me all the compute. And then later we'll identify like, oh, we overdid it. Or,
and the software will also catch up, right? And the hardware will catch up in efficiencies where, you don't need as much energy. You don't need as much memory. You don't need as much compute to create the same end result, right? So there's a balance that'll come at some point, but yeah, you gotta get a little bit overextended, and then you kind of do that mean reversion,
And that's what you mentioned. There's an important nuance because people follow that line of thought and they're thinking, oh, we're nearing the end of the cycle because of that,
right?
Because all the AI companies are competing together, and token costs are rapidly dropping. Well, token costs rapidly dropping doesn't really mean that we are near the end of the efficiency curve, since we really aren't tapping into all the things that we can do with AI. Because if you actually follow all the AI companies and stuff, there's still big innovations. I even thought I'm even a believer in AI, but let me tell you what, it wasn't until we did the expansion of my company and I started hiring these freaking wizards, developers who have previously worked at Microsoft, and then they show me the crazy things they're doing. We're like, oh, I run the AI locally, and then I have one agent that controls all of these agents, who all work on different data sets. They don't hallucinate. And then, oh, by the way, I don't even have to type out code. I just talk to it. And we did a update on our website. Actually, we just ran an update at nobeltrading.com. We did that update in 40 minutes. And you could go look at how fast that was done. That was my developers just talking to the AI and then basically waving their hand and go complete this. And it looks amazing. It looks so amazing, So like now I'm like, wow, okay. So, and we're still in the build phase for what the projects we're working on, So
No, it's definitely early, man. I think most people are still looking at AI as just like another search engine. Like that's probably their main use of it right now. It's like, oh, let me ask it what I normally would ask Google or something, or a chat, like a little chat thing. I'm going to talk to it. But the building side of it is like that's the part that has yet to really scale, is like the coding development, you don't
deployment. Even know.
But
the more you know about your industry, the more useful it is, because people are like, oh, AI allows me to do all these new things. Nah, it's really best in the hands of an expert who could take what they already do well and do it even better and 20 times faster. That's where the wow is, And I mean, I also I have a custom built agent that helps my wife shop for stuff, but hey, that thing saves me money. Loki, no one tell her this, but it makes her shop for deals and notifies her when deals come up on stuff. Which, by the way, now Robinhood has on their own. Did you see that headline?
No,
Robinhood credit card. The future is everyone's basically a scalper, because every time something goes on sale, your credit card will notify you if you have a Robinhood credit card, which is awesome. I was like, hey, I built that too. It's freaking amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool stuff though. Cool stuff.
World's changing quick, man. The world's changing quick.
Oh, and it's so cool.
It is a fun time. It's a fun time.
I know some people are struggling, but just know like all this AI and robotics are gonna be good for everyone. Just make sure you vote for people who like nuclear, and we can bring energy prices down, and then the future will be amazing.
Well, and then it's like we've gone through cycles in the past where a lot of people felt like they were put out of the workforce, right? Because something changed, and it's just it's a normal part of evolving and getting better. And I'd like to think that, maybe not all of those people were immediately able to go out and find new work. And it probably will be the same case, this time around, where people will probably struggle. You have to maybe reinvent yourself a little bit, or get into looking at like side gigs and that type of stuff, or trading, right? Suddenly you're like, ooh, maybe I need to learn this skill set. So,
learn this. Can I interject there real quick? Learn, if you're watching this and you're not actually a trader and you're wanting to learn trading, and you're telling yourself the delusion of like, well, I've got to make the money, then I'll get into trading.
Right.
One, don't even try trading if you don't have the discipline to save.
Yep.
Or the means to save. Two, learn the skills before you got the money. Because you're gonna naturally save money, but I'll trust you. I'll tell you what, you're gonna lose money when you start. So learn as much as you know now, so that you lose less later. Okay,
that's a really good point. Really good point,
because you're gonna lose money. So start learning now before you got the money.
Learn with $20. Learn with $20.
Yeah, right.
Start where you're at.
You really do want to do that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Dude, I mean, look, I think we're coming up here on, we're coming up on an hour and a half. Dude, this was fun, man. We covered a lot. I'm gonna have to go back and even look at some of the charts you pulled up, see if we can pull some cool little clips out of this. But guys, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We've gone through a lot here with Josh. Josh is just a wealth of knowledge here, man. This guy's, and I think we find this with the people that we bring on that are actually out there, they're doing it. It's very easy for them to kind of get in the zone. They get into that zone and they're just flowing, man. They're in flow state. So, and this is what I like. This is why I like the spaces. This is why I like doing the streams. It's because I get to connect with other people that it's a passion for them. They show up every day. It doesn't feel like work. They, if they're not doing it, they're talking about it. And if they're not talking about it, they're thinking about it. And it's just the way it works. Like, it's part of your day. So yeah, make sure you guys are following Josh. Nobel Trading is your ticker, correct? So make sure you guys are following him. Mm-hmm. He does stream on X. I think I've seen you on YouTube as well. So you're streaming over on the YouTube side.
Should put my handle instead of my full name. Josh Bratcher Nobel Trading comes up anyways.
Yeah, look, I mean, I tagged it in the title, so just look at the title at Nobel Trading. You'll find him there.
Absolutely.
And then just go check out his website if you like what Josh is sharing today, if you like the way he looks at the market, if you want to get around him a little bit more and see what he's doing, go check him out at his website. What's your website? Nobeltrading.com?
Nobeltrading.com. Yep.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Nobell, not Noble, Nobel.
Nobel. Yeah. Nobeltrading.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about changing it to NBT because it's just so much simpler, but we haven't yet.
No,
So,
it's a cool name, dude. Like Nobel Trading. I think it's like it sticks. I don't think it's bad. Yeah, I don't think it's bad at all.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
guys, check them out. Check them out.
yeah.
Make sure you go check them out. Give them
And
follows.
I just want to tell people, I know some people don't have the means to pay for like our paid subscriptions or join the paid community. Hey, I got a free YouTube where I live stream. I've got a free newsletter. It's 100% free. Yeah. If you're looking to learn, there's a free course on our website. There's a free 40-hour trading course.
Wow.
If some of the stuff I said today didn't make sense to you, go take the free course on the website. Okay. So, we think education should be free. Obviously, we do have professional services for both retail and institutions, but go use the free stuff. Go learn and excel and do amazing things because this stuff is awesome. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah,
dude. No, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. You're a busy guy, so I appreciate you coming on here, sharing some of your knowledge and some of your experience. And look, we'll have you back at some point again. We'll have you back on some spaces or back on some streams, and we'll talk about whatever's happening there. Maybe the next time we jump on, we're heading down from this melt up. We're kind of looking back. Like, oh man, wasn't that wild?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see how that.
We'll see. Yeah, watch Bitcoin just melt straight to like 30K from here and be like, guess that wasn't the bounce.
No, like these markets are so they're just so unpredictable. You can get some skills and some strategies that give you some edge, but at the end of the day, this markets will humble you if you get to a point where you think without a shadow of a doubt exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, and anyone who doesn't agree with it is an idiot. Like you get to that point, you have to be careful because you will get humbled. The market will show you that you're not smarter than the market. You're just really not. So,
when
guys,
you get something wrong, laugh it off.
Yeah,
we're wrong all the time. It doesn't
mean stay learning.
Doesn't mean you're stupid. It just we're wrong all the time.
Stay learning. It's a game of execution, and I didn't mention it earlier, but I'm thinking about it now that there's even a process of between like you're learning the strategies and then you have to go to execute. Those are two different muscles. Like it's
they're so
totally different. They're so different. Yeah, you might be able to you can map everything out. You know the setup, the entry, the stop, like all that, and then you go to the now I got to act on it, and you screw it all up. You close the trade early. You don't manage it accordingly. You screw it all up. So that's a whole that's the whole different skill set.
Even with over a decade of experience, there'll be times where I sit here and like, this is when I should enter, and then I watch the whole move play out.
You watch it happen.
I did nothing. I'm like, God damn it.
Sometimes even though you miss it, like you at least you get that like hit of, ooh, I still got it. I saw that. Yeah. I didn't take it, but I saw it. I called it. Right. It's like, I knew you were going to do that. There's a little bit of that. So
there is.
Absolutely. Josh, thanks again, dude. Everyone that's watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, make sure you're following this guy. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Stick around here on Wolf Bitcoin. We do a lot of this type of content. We're streaming pretty much every single day during the week. We're doing spaces every single day, whether it's trader talks or macro discussions. You want to talk ETFs, you want to talk Bitcoin, you want to talk housing, like all of that is happening on Wolf Bitcoin and on Wolf Financial as well, on the entire Wolf brand. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Shout out to Public once again for sponsoring this type of content, for making this a possibility that we can come on here and create this kind of stuff for you guys and bring on guests like Josh to hang out with us. So go check out public.com/wolf. And with that, guys, we're gonna sign off. We're gonna go enjoy a little bit of our days here, and then we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow with more content. We'll be back with some spaces and some streams tomorrow as well. So, Josh, we'll see you later, buddy. Thanks again, man. Everyone's watching. Have a great one. We'll see you on the next one.
Yep.
Peace.
God bless, guys.